Hey there, Holly Hill. It's time for our second mission control training video of the month. And in this video, we're going to be looking at our equipping challenge for the month of September. So last week, we kind of overviewed all of the challenges for the month of September. Now, in this video, we're going to be drilling in on the specific equipping challenge. But before we get to that, let's be reminded of our vision is to be where Christ lives, where people love and where lives change. That's what we want to become. And we do that through our mission, which is equipping the saints, teaching the word, and serving the world. And those three elements of our mission, equipping the saints, teaching the word, serving the world, make up our three mission categories of the month. So let's talk about that first one. We're talking about equipping this week. What is equipping? Well, equipping is really experiencing how to live the Christian life by sharing with other disciples. So it's all about sharing. It's all about relationship building. It's all about participating with each other to learn how to live the Christian walk. It's not simply giving knowledge to somebody. It's showing them how to do something, doing it with them, participating together so that we grow as a group into doing the work of Christ. So our equipping challenge this month for the month of September is this. Ask a church member to hold you accountable to the mission control challenges going forward. So the passage we use for this one is Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 and 10. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. So two are better than one. When we work together as a team and when we have people that we can rely on to hold us accountable, we're going to be much more effective at accomplishing the mission of the church. Now, here's our rationale, and I'm reading from the mission pamphlet for this month. It says, to be fully equipped workers in God's kingdom, it requires that we have some level of accountability. Otherwise, it becomes too easy for us to drift back into apathy. We need to rely on other church members to keep us on track. Otherwise, we are fighting a losing battle. So, if you're doing it by yourself and you fail, then it's really easy to just stay down. But if you have somebody checking up on you, then you have a reason to get back up and keep going. Now, that's our challenge, to ask a church member to hold you accountable to the mission control challenges going forward. Let's not forget about the kids challenge. For those of you who don't know, in the mission pamphlet every month, under each one of the three main challenges, there is also a kids challenge. So if the kids want to participate, and if they want to record their efforts by filling up that jar as well at the Mission Control Center, they definitely can do that. So look at the kids challenge and have your kids work along with you. The challenges aren't the same. They're an easier version. So the kids challenge this month is tell someone about the mission control challenges you have already completed and the ones that you're working on next. So tell somebody in the church about what challenges you've already completed and which ones you're working on next. So that's something that kids can do to help get them excited about the mission control challenges. All right, now let's move back to that first challenge, the adults challenge, which is to ask a church member to hold you accountable to the mission control challenges going forward. Now, in our training night, which was this past Sunday, we went through these workbooks and we answered three questions and did three exercises in regard to the equipping challenge. And we're going to go through those really quick right now, and I'm going to share some thoughts with you. So the first question that we answered this past Sunday night was, why is it so difficult to do this, to ask for somebody to hold you accountable, and what are some things that we can do to make it easier? So I think it's really simple. It's difficult to ask people to hold you accountable because we're afraid to let people know that we need help, and we're afraid to let people know about our struggles, and we're afraid to let people know when we have failed. So if we know that somebody's going to be reaching out to us to ask us how we're doing and we haven't been doing very good, we are afraid to let people know that because of our ego. So it's an uncomfortable thing to think about someone checking up on you, because what if you aren't doing good? So we don't like letting people know that we need help. We don't like letting people know that we're struggling to do the work of the church. We don't like letting people know that we failed. And so that's why this is so difficult to do. But what can we do to make it easier? How can we make it easier? And really, the real answer is leave your ego at the door. Get rid of your ego. James chapter 4 and verse 6, he says, but he gives more grace. Therefore, it says, God is opposed to the proud, but gives grace to the humble. So do you see, God is opposed to the proud. We're not going to be able to accomplish the work of God when we have a prideful and arrogant heart. We have this massive ego that we're worried about what people are going to think about us. We have to learn to get rid of that. Leave your ego at the door and dump your pride, because we can't work in the kingdom of God if we have pride. Also, you can pray about it. You can pray about this. Pray to God that He can help you leave your ego at the door. That you can start to think of yourself less and start thinking about how people perceive your spirituality less, and that you can become more vulnerable with people. And that leads us into the second thing that I think makes it easier, is to actually build relationships with people in which you are both comfortable in sharing your faults. I think this is a big part of the problem. We are afraid to let people know that we're struggling or that we need help, not only because of our pride, but also because we don't have good relationships with our fellow brothers and sisters. So we need to spend time together outside of worship service. We need to talk regularly about spiritual things, not just worldly things, not just sports, not just weather, not just our infirmities from old age and all of these things that we like to talk about, the chit-chat, the small talk that we do at the worship assembly. We need to get past that. We need to start really talking about spiritual things to each other. And we need to pray for each other. Spend time together, talk about spiritual things, pray for each other. Build those relationships that then make it more comfortable to share your faults with each other. We can't do that if we don't have those relationships. So that is the first question there. Why is it difficult? What can we do to make it easier? So let's look at the second question here that we looked at in the group training this past Sunday night. And that was, what things should we consider when deciding which person we're going to ask to keep us accountable? So, who are you going to ask? You have to pick somebody to ask. Who is it going to be? Well, a common thread throughout our discussion on Sunday night was, is it somebody that you already have a relationship, or somebody that you feel comfortable with already? If so, then that person might be the obvious one to ask. But also, something to think about is, could you use this, this accountability aspect to maybe build a stronger relationship with somebody that you don't have a really strong relationship with? So I think both of those could be taken into account here. And also, is that person that you know really well, that you already feel comfortable with, would that person be a suitable accountability partner? Because if they know you really well, then maybe they're going to be, they're not going to hold you accountable as much. That's why, it's not often a good idea for husbands and wives to be accountability partners, because, as was mentioned in one of our Bible classes recently, it becomes easy to sort of be an enabler of the other person without even realizing it, because we have such a close relationship. And so, is the person that you're thinking about somebody you're comfortable asking, but yet not so close to that you can't expect them to be a good accountability partner? So those are a couple of things to consider. Another thing to consider is that, is it someone that you think will be reliable to keep you accountable? It's going to be difficult and challenging to always be on top of this and to always be thinking about keeping the other person accountable. It's going to be easy to let the world get us busy and we forget about it. So is this other person going to be somebody that you can rely on to keep you accountable? That's another thing to consider. Another thing to consider when choosing which person you're going to ask is it someone with a level of spiritual maturity in order to keep you accountable? So, generally speaking, you don't want to ask somebody who is way less spiritually mature than you, because then you're probably going to be the one keeping them accountable. And of course, this is a two-way street for sure, and it has to be. But what is their level of spiritual maturity, and will that affect the outcome? So keep that in mind as well. Another thing to keep in mind, if none of the above are true, so if they're not somebody with spiritual maturity, if they're not somebody that would be reliable to keep you accountable, if they're not somebody you are already comfortable talking to, if none of these things are true, then is the person that you're thinking about somebody that you could potentially help disciple into these qualities through the process of being accountability people for each other? And if the answer is yes, then you might consider it. It might not be as beneficial to you as it is to them, but you could be helping them out as well. But we need somebody that we can help keep us accountable. So think about that. These are the things we should consider when choosing which person that we're going to pick. All right. And then the third question that we asked in our small groups, our training groups this past Sunday night, was, what is a good system or process by which this person could keep you accountable? So, system, process, how are you going to do this? It was mentioned that maybe you could set aside goals. You could set goals with this accountability person of what you would both like to accomplish within a certain time frame. For example, you could say, I want to get all 3 of the mission challenges done each month by the end of the month. Set some kind of goal like that for the accountability so that you know what to look for. So that would be part of the system, part of the process. Another thing that you need to consider in the system and the process is to determine a date, a time, and a method that they will reach out to you, and vice versa, to keep each other accountable. So date, time, and a method. So, hey, so-and-so, let's say that on this day, at this time, and in this way, you're going to reach out to me to check if I did what I needed to do, and if I don't hear from you, I will reach out to you. So, a date, a time, and a method. How are they going to reach out to you? When are they going to reach out to you, and on what day are they going to reach out to you? Make sure that's in place so that it's not this wishy-washy thing of, I was going to get to it, but I just forgot. Set a time, set a date, set a method. A third thing you could do when considering the process or the method for keeping each other accountable, you could keep, and this is optional, but a lot of people liked this idea, you could keep a notebook or other record of your accountability checks and record your successes and failures in each area of the goals that you set for yourself. So, for example, if you set the goal, I want to accomplish all 3 mission challenges of the month, every month, and that person reaches out to you, and you completed the first 2, but not the third, you could have a notebook that says, so-and-so checked in with me on this day, and I told them that I did this and this, but not this. And so, just keep a record so you can go back and see trends, and you can also see maybe you're consistently forgetting to check up on each other, and you'll be able to note that. So that's another thing to consider. So those were the 3 questions. Not a lot here to unpack. It's pretty much just a matter of getting down to it and doing the challenge. So here are the next steps for you. We're going to do the checklist now of 4 practical things that you can do right now to accomplish this challenge. And there's 4 things, only 4 things this time. The first one is ask God to lead you through this process. That's always going to be the start. That's always going to be the first step when we're facing these challenges. Ask God for help. Ask for wisdom in making the right decisions. Ask for boldness to be able to have the confidence to go and ask that person. Ask that in this whole process, the other person may be edified as well. Ask that God may be glorified in all of this. Ask for the conviction to do it, that you're actually going to go out and do this challenge. So pause the video right now and say a prayer to God, then come back and resume the video. All right, now we're to step number 2 of 4 to accomplish this challenge. The second step is this: choose the person that you're going to ask first. Because after all, that person may say no. They may say that they don't want to be accountability partners. They don't want to keep you accountable. That's okay. You can move on to somebody else. But you got to determine who are you going to ask first. So think about the things that we talked about earlier in the video, and then write those things down or think it through and decide right now. Pause the video, decide who you're going to ask, and then come back for step number 3. All right, now step number 3 is to write down the ideal accountability system for you. What is it that you're going to present to this person? Say, hey, so-and-so, I would like it if you could keep me accountable, and I would like it if you could reach out to me on this day, at this time, using this method to challenge me to see if I have accomplished this. So write down that system, write down that method, write down what it is that you're going to ask that person to do, how they're going to keep you accountable, when they're going to keep you accountable, and what they're going to keep you accountable to. So go ahead and write that down right now, pause the video and do that, and come back for the final step. All right, so we're ready for step 4. Determine when and how you are going to reach out and ask, and then follow through. So determine when and how that you're going to ask this person, and then follow through on it. There's a lot of ways that you could reach out to this person. There's a lot of different times that you could do it. You could do it right now via Facebook message. If that person's on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, reach out to them. You could do it right now. You could do it right now via text. You could do it in person tonight. If you're watching this on Sunday night, you could do it right now in person. You could do that, and you could reach out right now and this evening, rather, at our study groups that we're having tonight at the building. Or you could do it on Wednesday after Bible study. So there's a lot of different times that you could do it. But determine when and how you're going to do it, and then follow through. That's the 4th step. So we're done right now. We're done with the video. But I want to leave you with a couple of reminders. So I want to remind you of our upcoming mission training. Our next one is going to be on October 4th, I believe. October 2nd. October 2nd is our next one, because that's the first Sunday night, is going to be our next mission training. So make sure you're there at 6 p.m. That's a Sunday, October 2nd at 6 p.m. We had a great time this last time, and I hope that you'll be there again. Another reminder is to sign up for our mission launch team. A lot of people have already signed up for the mission launch team, and the mission launch team is all about 2 things. Number 1, if you're on our mission launch team, you commit to attempting to complete the 3 challenges for the month. But number 2, you will commit to then asking somebody else, encouraging somebody else to also do the 3 challenges. Because we want this to grow organically. We want people to be doing it and then asking other people to be doing it as well. So that is what we need you to do. Sign up for the mission launch team if you're not signed up for that already. And then another reminder is, once you complete these challenges, make sure to record them by dropping the ball into the jar, the appropriate jar, at Mission Control Center. We have 3 jars, one for equip, one for teach, and one for serve. As you complete the challenges, drop the ball in the jar to indicate that you have completed that challenge. One one recording per person, per challenge, per month. So, once you complete it, drop the ball in there to let us know that you've done it. So that's it. Come back next week for the next training video on our teaching mission for the month, and let's go out and accomplish this first mission together. Thank you for being the church. Thank you for living the mission, and thank you for being who you are and for living out the mission of Christ in the world. We will see you next week. Bye.